Hello guys, and welcome back to Strategic Command World War II, World at War with our Axis playthrough. In the last episode, we took care of Japan as well as some other things here in July of 1941. This turn, we have mainly the German MPPs to spend, maybe moving these things around as well. I don't believe they have to worry about this fleet quite yet. What is their supply? It's at 9. We could probably move them a little bit further. Yeah. Let's say right about... actually, well, I could keep them here so they're in, like, range of an escape route, perhaps, towards the port up there. Maybe even move them a little bit closer together, specifically so they are, one way or another, just an escape route, or getting further away from danger, but there's really nowhere else to go down there. So I think I'll just leave them there at the moment. We'll go ahead and spend Italian MPPs. We will reinforce the Axum submarine up to 8. It can't get all the way up because it's not in a port that will allow it to do that. The Leonardo da Vinci was moved in just this turn, so it can't actually go ahead and reinforce just yet. I can reinforce the U-30 sub, so we're going to definitely go ahead and do that. I will reinforce the Prinz Eugen heavy cruiser, get that up to 10 strength. I don't believe they have anything around here. There is this, but I don't really feel like sailing my fleet up there and fighting the full Russian fleet because I still remember what that's like. I will reinforce the Africa Corps tank. Like I mentioned, we are going to send that up to the front. It's going to need an upgrade as well, but I believe these will be pretty helpful on the front. The Africa Corps themselves, the Corps, we can reinforce that. Reinforce the Africa Recon, that would still be pretty useful. The anti-tank and the arty won't be very useful unless the offensive somehow slows down. Since there isn't really any research or anything to do as Germany, I'm looking at how to spend the remaining 293 MPPs that I have, and there are some important land force things that I want to do. However, they're not really critical. I'm putting enough points in just by reinforcing things and doing upgrades on the front and in the rear here, getting ready to get some new units in. So what I'm going to spend points on right now, it might seem weird, but I'm going to go to Germany. We're going to recruit the literally one and only maritime bomber that we can get with naval weaponry. This is going to be 150 MPPs only, which is like the price of a core with no upgrades, with no discounts. And the discount here isn't even that great. I want to purchase that, and let me tell you why. I think it would be great to have a maritime bomber that I could keep, for example, up here, or use more versatilely, like to respond down here with the RAF fighters and try to bombard fleets that come through the Mediterranean, etc., etc. Moving medium bombers around is not the easiest. There's 2 of them. Each one I operate is 59 MPPs. That's really difficult to do. Fighters are easier to place around because I have so many. Ideally, right, like I could just move these medium bombers around. They're not as good at maritime bombing as they are land bombing. I have honestly like enough land bombers. Anyway, I want a maritime bomber that can respond to different fronts with the assistance of other fighters like the Romanian ones, for example, or even more German ones, because getting more fighters is easier, and take on big threats that could earn me a lot of morale gain with very little MPPs put in comparison. Leaves me 143 MPPs left over, and that will help me fund the land force additions that I want to make in this upcoming turn. But for now, I think it's good, and I think we're good to move over into the next turn. Oh wait, I found one more thing to put points into, upgrading the Admiral Shear Heavy Cruiser. Not very expensive, thankfully, so let's go ahead and hit end turn now that we've done that. Chinese morale suffers from the loss of Nanning. Good, very good. Peru is at war with Ecuador. Our intelligence reports show that the Peruvian dictator views our successes in Europe favorably, and may even be persuaded to join us if we provide him a good incentive to do so. We know his forces lack good equipment, so if we were to supply him with weapons at the cost of 120 MPPs at 30 a turn for 4 turns, he may consider openly supporting the Axis. We can arrange for these to be sent in neutral ships to ensure their delivery. However, the US is also very interested in developments in this area and is likely to be making offers of their own, so success is not guaranteed. Would you like to send military equipment to Peru? There's no additional notes for this event. So I can gamble 120 MPPs to see if America responds or not over some war in South America Well, seeing as I never plan on going into the Americas in this playthrough, I'm going to go ahead and say that 120 MPPs is probably better spent on my already expansive and diplomatically enhanced force. So, no, I will not send this to Peru. French Indochina is alarmed by Japanese conquest of Nanning. Oh, are they? That doesn't sound good. China's international trade is severed by the loss of Nanning. Well, that sounds good. Sweden-Germany convoys, yeah. Arrival of German assistance strengthens Iraqi resolve to resist the Allies. Well, that's good. Oh, we got infantry weapons level 2 for Germany. Oh, that's going to be huge. That's something that would be worth actually slowing down the advance a little bit for. Getting that up, because that will make us much better. The Soviets are only getting level 1. If we have level 2, we will actually retain our advantage. So, that is very good. Ooh, 713 MPPs after everything. That's really nice. I'll take that. Well, now let's see how the Allies try to mess my day up. Hopefully minimal gains. Hopefully minimal good. Hopefully big mistakes. Why are you going to Abadan? What's over there? Enemy contact destroyer sub. They didn't choose to attack. I'm not surprised. Really? They moved an engineer to defend Xi'an in place of the army I destroyed. Now they're moving corps forward. This is just going to be a slaughter, dude. A slaughter. And this tank is running away. Okay. So I don't even need to bombard it like I was going to. Lots of reinforcements. Oh my god, they're just reinforcing the fuck out of Grozny. That must be expensive. But also, it's just so annoying. This one corps is actually running away back towards this town. I think this is the one that had like no supply. Now they are attacking one of my subs with a destroyer, but it's 1-to-1 trade-off. Die from attack. We took 1 damage, dealt none, unfortunately. We're getting our subs out of there. For now, we just need to like recover and just kind of deal with it as it goes. Really? Okay, they took some damage from doing that bombardment. I believe I upgraded Athens anti-air. Sirte also needs it. Because we're losing MPPs on that. I forget if I actually did that for Athens or not. I'm going to make a point to look at that after this play back is done. They're doing some bombardment of my tanks and doing damn good damage, but they're taking all kinds of damage from both the tanks and my fighters in the area. Ooh, 3 damage dealt to my paratroopers on the front line. We only dealt 2 in return to an army. That's pretty fair for the, well, comparisons of the effectiveness of those units. They are starting to push into Iraq, and an armored train has reached Grozny in the Caucasus. Thankfully, we've secured most of the oil in this region already, but there is still more ahead at my cope. So I want to get through here as quickly as possible. It's just so difficult with only 1 army, man. Ah, the US oil embargo hits Japanese morale. No. Yeah, you get a lot of morale just for declaring war at this point. So I'm getting ready at kind of a good spot. Maybe I could have done with getting ready a turn or 2 before. But we'll get all this morale back when we actually end up at war with America. We'll go to war with the DEI and America at like roughly the same time is what we'll do. That's how we'll handle it. Enemies at Cape Town, what a surprise. DC, yep. Oh my god, Lord Gort, what are you doing here? Zhukov all the way back there, that's good. An army by Yanku. They still have their forces around Manchuria. That's good. The 23rd U-boat flotilla is due to deploy shortly at Kiel in the Baltic, though it could perhaps be put to better use if we were to send it over land to serve in the Mediterranean. Arriving with full research, whatever is decided, transferring this U-boat to Pola in the Adriatic will cost 35 MPPs. From Pola, it can sail to the Mediterranean to attack Allied shipping. Well, no. No, it can't. Intercept Allied shipping and invasion forces in the Mediterranean. Okay, invasion forces, sure. But their shipping doesn't go through the Mediterranean anymore. They moved it. So it actually would not help me to send it over there at all. So I'm going to say no to that and save my 35 MPPs because it would do better just doing these other things I would have it doing anyway. Oh, good, more garrisons. I actually ordered more garrisons. That's great. I knew I needed more garrisons. I just didn't want to spend more money on garrisons based on how much technically I already had. I knew I would need more soon. I'll get these deployed right now. Somewhere where there is a rail line to take. Generally, so that they can just rail into wherever they're needed. Japan has stuff too, but we'll look at that later. Okay, so I never did get anti-air onto Greece. I don't, oh, because the supply's bad. Well, isn't that just a whole big problem then? Yeah, they strap bomb it, it loses supply, and then I can't upgrade, and then I forget about it until later. Not to mention, I don't think Italy actually has anti-air upgrades, does it? No, it doesn't. Italy doesn't know anti-air. Oh, well, that's a fucking problem and a half now, isn't it? And so how am I going to afford that if that's the problem with Italy, man. Just using them uses like all your MPPs, and then you find yourself in these weird situations. I'm going to look at Japan generally first on this turn, now that we're in August. I really want to get to Quilin, and ideally as quick as possible and with minimal casualties. This, oh my god. What? We'd lose 1 and kill 8. I don't think I've ever seen it draw the number 8 before. That's a weird looking 8. Like, I have to like look at that closely to make sure I'm seeing the correct thing here. Holy crap. Anyway, this tactical bomber cannot hit down south, so I'm just going to take this chance to reinforce it. I believe this fighter can cover everything, so I'm just going to reinforce this other fighter that we have here. I'm going to be careful with my MPPs, because I think after this point with Japan, I will never have another turn getting 300 plus until I retake the DEI. See, that convoy route is done now. And I, again, should have gotten ready for this maybe a turn or two earlier. It's really no big deal. They've only gone up 1% in MPPs, so like when I declare war, they're going to double. And that's not good either. Getting the DEI is good for Japan, but it's really just bad for the war effort in general, because you literally just awaken the beast. And oh my god, America's MPPs, as we know, are terrifying. So, in the meantime, let's go ahead and do some bombing with our bombers. I want to make Quilin as easy as possible. This does not concern me as much. I can brute force that. Well, we've definitely lowered their readiness morale a large amount. I feel like the extra bombing at this point would just be unnecessary, and I'm kind of tempted to just go for elite reinforcements, but again, I want to also kind of stray away from things that are spending that are unnecessary in the meantime. We're going to focus entirely on Quilin. Securing Quilin as quickly, smoothly, and easily as possible is my #1 priority right now. And we didn't actually even take any losses, so that just works out even better. We have only one prepared attack to do, and that is the 5th Corps against the enemy 1st Corps. Dealt 4 damage as opposed to the 3 that we were supposed to deal, so that is just fantastic. I'm gonna have the 5th Corps, which I think was the original Corps that was here, go back down the road, getting ready to just, you know, just stay in that area. Something has to be ready to just go step on Hong Kong, and it's gonna be a Corps. I'd send this one back, but it can't even reinforce fully from where it's located at the moment, and so that just kind of seems like a waste. I'll move the Central Expedition Army forward. It has no repairing or anything to do. It can get elite reinforcements. That's not that big of a deal right now. Wipe out the enemy corps at Quilin, and then go step on the town. Are there partisans here? No. Okay, good. Go just step on the town and take it, and just like that, voila, we have secured the whole rail line. I see the leaning of Indochina's gone from like 25% to 15%. So we've lost some leaning. However, the event that procs them to be annexed by you is by holding certain things, and I think keeping them just leaning towards you in general. So we are still good to annex them. And that event should happen, I think, maybe after hitting end turn now or something like that. So we should see that very soon. The units here all need kind of to recover. So I'm going to focus on that. Korean Army, Indochina Expedition Army, that's 43 MPPs. Got to be careful. We want to make sure we have like 210 sitting around. Ideally, get this corps up to full strength as well. I'm going to take the 3rd Army. We're going to start moving that down the road in the south here. We see the enemy HQ. And, oh, here's this garrison that's been running around this whole time. Supply is going to be weird here. It's only going to project very well about down this far, which is not the greatest. However, it's going to project well enough that we can get in range of that HQ and do some damage to it. And damaging an HQ is just only a good thing. So let's take the North Chinese Front Army and just go on the offensive. We don't have money to spend for like elite reinforcements. 6 damage to an HQ. That is something we cannot let pass. 5 damage dealt. Okay, no damage taken. And then, still within 6 supply, making a little Russian convoy down the road, I can move forward another army, more precisely the 13th Army can head down, and will, and potentially kill the Chen HQ. Oh my god, we just killed an HQ. We just killed an HQ. HQs are so much money, they cost more than carriers. Yeah, and we just killed one. I don't know if they get that back. I don't know if that respawns for free. They may have just lost something like almost 400 MPPs or roughly 400 MPPs. Forget about the garrison, bro. We just wiped out a fucking HQ. Now we're starting to surround this region. And now they won't have all the supply buffs they currently have. They won't have all the combat bonuses. And maybe we can actually start eking away at these fortifications once they lose their combat bonuses. Certainly, Kui Chao will be easier to take now. Alright, so I'm looking at this mess, right? And I want to just hit this, right? Because how much does an engineer cost anyway? Holy shit, it's more than I thought. They're more expensive than a core. That's a lot of damage to just throw onto an engineer. Like 2 shots and this thing's dead if it doesn't run away. Probably will run away. But then also at the same time my brain's just thinking, well, I could also just go for the cores in which 0 damage to me is predicted, even if the damage dealt is not as high. So I'm not really sure here. One way or another, I can only get 2 attacks in from this spot no matter what. Because, you know, you can just swap in. It's not like we have a lot of room to move around to avoid swapping. And even then, no, you'd still stop and end there. So I think I will attack this core at least, because again, only 2 attacks are possible. So we'll do the prepared attack with the 17th Army against this enemy core and see what happens. 2 damage dealt, none taken, okay. Oh man, there's so much opportunity for elite reinforcements. But it's just so impractical. Man. Alright, anyway, swap. Because that's kind of just how we have to do it right now. And attack with a blitz attack. 3 damage dealt, none taken. Okay, not so bad. So now, I've half damaged this core, which is upgraded with infantry weapons, by the way. Which is not exactly cheap either. Core with infantry weapons by default, but still not expensive as an engineer. I could kill that, probably with no losses to me, and it would be permanently gone. Or, I could let it recover, kill it later, and instead kill the engineer with only 1 loss to myself. Looking at the 21st Army here, which I will reinforce down south, 14 MPPs for me to reinforce it might be 15 or more by default. That's an army. In terms of total MPPs being traded, assuming all predictions are accurate, and we don't just get lucky and then don't take any damage at all, that 1 damage would make it roughly equivalent the investment and payback of wiping out this core that is upgraded with infantry weapons. Wait a minute, when did they start getting infantry weapons? I'm just realizing this. That's new. That's a new development. That's bad. It's roughly equivalent to wiping this out. So I think I'm going to go and just focus on, well, damaging this to the best of my ability, because actually wiping it out is not guaranteed. Both of these could just retreat once they take critical damage. 3 damage dealt, yeah, and it retreats when we get to the point of like 8 damage. I'm really just not surprised by that. This would have happened here as well. Still, 1 to 6. I think I'll just go for the 0 to 2 for right now. See about chasing that out, forcing them to recover potentially. 3 damage dealt, none taken. Alright, so we dealt out over 10 damage this turn with these guys. Didn't take any in return. That's pretty good. They got a core that's on the verge of death, one that is slightly damaged, needs some recovering. It's both of their upgraded ones, and this engineer that's going to stay pretty vulnerable for the time being. And right now that's what we're doing. We're just dealing out tons of damage with the armies that we have available here, being a little choke pointed by this road. But without air support, you know, pushing it's not going to be the easiest. And right now I'm focusing on the south, and we're making big progress down here. I'm going to take this corps, move it to Fuchao. Take this corps, move it next to Shanghai. Move this corps forward and do that little swap that I was talking about. Get a better unit back there. Move this back to Peking. It's as far as it can go right now. That works fine for me. Could have upgraded it, but look at my MPPs. Don't really feel like paying for that right now. There's probably other things I have to pay for. So let's just keep it the way it is for now. It's fine. This corps needs an ability to recover, which it doesn't really have right now. It's not fully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move it up next to Changsha just to close this line and make it so it can't be flanked or cut off from any supply. It'll reinforce next chance it gets. For the time being, it'll just shore up the rear while my actual main troops move back. Curious to see how they're going to respond to this, if they're going to weaken their front. See how we can explore any vulnerabilities they leave us with our air forces. I'm going to take this garrison, just move it out of the way for now. I could just go into the mountains here, let's say. That's three either way. Unless I just move it like way the fuck back, but I'm also going to move this corps up here, which I know I was just saying I wasn't going to do, but I have a reason for this. I've changed my plans a little bit based on some circumstances that I think might be beneficial to me in the long run. So we're going to take this army, 14th Army, we're going to move it forward to where this corps just was. I'm preparing to use this mountain to my advantage because we can project enough supply up there to function fairly reasonably in some attacks. Even here and here as well, but to use it to the best of its ability will require two forces, not just one. Rather than moving corps there, I figure I'll move armies. Because this is still a big front. When we break through, we'll need to focus on different sides. We have 4 right here. What if we had 6? That's where this comes in handy. So let's just move into the mountains. No, let's move back to the road. Actually, yeah, that works maybe better. Just for the time being. And then send this up from Wuhan. And I'm going to have these 2 armies, 2nd Kwantung and 14th, cycling in and out to just try to deal some damage to the enemy corps that are sitting around here. Getting ready for an opportunity to break through, if at all possible. Probably won't happen, but we'll have supply in case it does. Just giving them another front, something else to worry about without actually extending the amount of MPPs that we waste or use in a hopefully efficient way of stretching them even further and boosting our gains in all fronts. Now, we do have new units to deploy. The 13th Garrison needs to deploy somewhere where there is a place for it to embark from. Not this turn, of course, but just generally. Right here should work just fine. It's next to Hiroshima's port, anyway. Yeah, sure. Oh, wait, what? Oh, I was on the supply map, so it kind of reset. There's also the Zuikaku carrier, which has me wondering, maybe it's not too bad to wait for this carrier. I don't think this was actually involved in the Pearl Harbor raids. I believe all those ones are already here. So it may not be vital, but it wouldn't hurt to have it in place. So waiting that extra turn or two and refraining from bolstering America's gains like as quickly as possible, maybe not too bad. So let's send that to right around here. I do remember there being like 2 maybe escort type carriers running around the DEI or something at the time, of which we only actually have 1, so I'm not really sure how that works. A little curious, what happens if you move a carrier, just like 1 hex? It can still do all of its strikes and escorts. Okay, good. So, well, I'd still probably put them up front. Yeah. For the actual declaration of war. I'm gonna start getting everything into position now. Oh, this can actually get some upgrades, but only to itself. No, actually, not upgrades. Elite reinforcements, because it spawned in with XP. Oh. That's the case for some of these other ones, and I don't remember if I upgraded them with these elite reinforcements or if the game automatically did that anyway, but I'm gonna start getting into position for like a full frontal thrust against the enemy Pearl Harbor. So let's take the Akagi. We're going to send the Kaga. We're going to line them up on the very, very front because they can't declare war. Only we can declare war in this instance. Soryu. Okay. I'm going to form everything else around there. We're going to just bum rush east, kill everything that we can. They may start out with a plane here. I forget if I moved that there in my playthrough. I really am tempted WW2, instead of sending special forces like these two to little islands, send them along with this massive fleet, take advantage of the fact that this AI America probably hasn't gone out of its way to move ships over here, or anywhere near here, in fact, and then pull off like a little landing where I essentially just snipe Honolulu with some minimal fighting. Now here's the problem with that though. That would require a lot of focus. We wouldn't just have to kill the ships around here. We'd have to like open up a landing, maybe get around, do our amphibious attacks on like the core that's probably there, land next to it, do normal attacks, support it as much as possible with carriers. However, carriers are not that great at land bombardment. You see their attack values versus land targets is not very high. A concentrated effort could maybe bear fruit. Taking Hilo would probably be easier. Again, a concentrated effort might bear fruit, but it's still risky. However, pulling it off could, I believe, end American supplies that are being sent to the USSR and make our main conquest easier, if we can pull it off. And also maybe keep them at bay a little bit longer because they lose their main naval hub in the Pacific. Not sure I would try this against a player, but an AI? When I'm taking like my entire navy and just dedicating it over here, I think it would work well. Aggressive tactics against an AI, I think, are acceptable. I'm pretty sure with the entire, like even the subs of this upgraded Japanese navy with naval weapons too, our navy can probably take the entire American navy if it's commanded by AI anyway. That's just a thought. So maybe making such an aggressive play really just isn't that bad. I don't know. The carriers are going to go forward. I'm going to have escorts screen them, and I'm going to have the battleships in the rear. It's kind of my idea. Submarines on the sides, just to kind of look for other things that might be floating about in the water. So where are the screens going to go? We only have 2 destroyers. This will be fun. We'll take this one. We got to make sure not to cross this line while we're doing this. Send this up. Take this one. Avoid the American blah 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 blah, whatever it's called. And then the heavy cruisers can kind of line up behind there. The Furutaka. How many do we have of these also? I have 2 more? Are there any more? No, there's not. Okay. Furutaka. We have the Mogami, which I guess can go in the middle for right now. It's going to move forward, so it doesn't need to be perfectly placed. And the Ton, which goes right there. And the rest are all battleships. My god, this is such a capital ship-heavy fleet the Japanese have. Well, there is also the Abukuma. Abukuma, oh my god, names. We'll take that and send that forward. I can't really get that all the way up to where I'd want it, not without, like, using its ability to go extra far, which I didn't really save the ability to do that right now. Moving to just right here is fine for now. It's not like we're doing this invasion next turn. I mean, we might. We might, but I don't think we are. I think this is going to need another turn after that. We'll also want to get some transports moving as well. Let me see. Let me get these capital ships into position. We have 4 of them. That makes lining them up kind of simple. Send you up. Put you right there for now. Send you up. Put you right there. Send you up to here. And then I think something like this works pretty fine. The 4 battleships. Isn't this a beautiful formation? Cut out this Abukuma. Like, that's not looking too hot, but it's fine. The subs will go on the very edge as a screening force. There is... Oh, can I see there? No, I can't. I'll say there's nothing on midway. I can't actually see that far. Move the cruiser back a touch. Move the sub up here. Supply will survive long enough to make this work. I'm definitely thinking about just going for Honolulu. I don't think that my special forces on the long-range transports are taking supply loss, but I do think that the normal one is, despite being in a port. Either way, again, the timetable's close enough that we don't have to worry. I'm just going to move this one down to this port. Like I said, Oh yeah, I kind of forgot about the escort carrier. We're looking at this far right now, and that actually works out perfectly. Providing some nice escort to everybody. What's the modes here? Are we all on... We're on fighters, no bombers for all of them. That's fine for now until I start bombing. I'll have to remember to look at that. But I'll do the rest of this next episode because we're out of time for now. We're getting a lot done. We're setting up the invasion, literally, of Hawaii. Because honestly, I believe I can hold it against the AI based on how things are going so far. And we're going to have to look at that whole fun Soviet front. But for now, hope you guys are enjoying this series. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.